Coming up on Beyond the Rock News. Throughout the states, graduation ceremonies have had to be moved. Under certain circumstances, some students weren't able to make it. Find out about a special ceremony coming up.
With schools being shut down, face-to-face learning has turned into screen-to-screen learning. We'll tell you how ordinary teachers are teaching from their own homes.
With everyone looking for information about what is currently happening, does the media actually tell us the truth? Or is it all just one big lie?
Coming up on Beyond the Rock News, find out how some local residents are spreading positivity despite being stuck at home.
Beyond the Rock News starts now.
Welcome to Beyond the Rock News. I'm HanButz. For weeks now, Michiganders have been in quarantine due to the stay-at-home order from Governor Whitmer. The fast spread of COVID-19 has led to cancellation after cancellation. But how are individuals carrying on with their lives? That's all coming up on Beyond the Rock News. First, Josh Poot has more insight on a special graduation held for a student who is unable to attend his high school graduation ceremony.
To some, this may seem like just a football field, but to Logan Wirt, a lifelong goal was celebrated right here. Due to the high-risk exposure of COVID-19, large gatherings were prohibited. This caused problems for some seniors, as the date and time of the normal graduation ceremony had to be moved. Logan Wirt was one of these seniors, and when he found out that the school could offer him a private ceremony, this was an offer he couldn't say no to.
Something special that RHS does for students who cannot graduate on the normal date is to have a private graduation.
It's just a brief comments about the students meeting the Rockford Public Schools graduation requirements and the state of Michigan, and it's a confirmation of their hard work and a granting of their diploma.
One RHS student got the chance to have this opportunity.
When I heard the news that I wouldn't be walking with everybody, it was honestly quite devastating. When Zhang said this could be put together, my day brightened up instantly when I heard the news, being able to see all those people again.
Logan has a very special reason to have this type of graduation.
I'm going into the United States Army.
Like many of these that are tied to military commitments, we will also present our graduates with a Freedom Cord, symbolizing their service to our country. It's an honor as the principal of this high school to be able to, through the support of the Board of Education and our superintendent, to have ceremonies like this and grant these diplomas to these students before they go off and serve our country.
Entering the Army is a major decision in his life, which comes with a lot of emotions.
I'm excited and nervous. It's definitely going to be a huge change in my life, but I also know it's the first step in starting my life.
Logan has some very good advice for the underclassmen.
You can't just give up this year. It's so important that you follow through, and it will be such a memory that you'll never forget. Because I know right now, today, standing here receiving these awards in this graduation, this is something I will never forget for the rest of my life.
This has been Anna Carpenter with Beyond the Rock signing off.
Logan found a solution to his problem, but that's not the only problem that his school and other schools are trying to solve right now. HanButz is at an unusual place where students and teachers will be finishing the school year at home.
That's right. Being at home is not the typical place school is usually held at. Schools have now shut down for the remainder of the school year, resulting in teachers having to transition to remote learning, causing them to find new and creative ways to connect with their students. Bosscher has more on the story.
This past spring, we've seen millions of students around the nation be sent home to finish off the school year, resulting in teachers having to scramble to find new approaches to a different atmosphere.
Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, schools in Michigan have been forced to close. Around the state, teachers, whether it be college or high school, have transitioned to online courses.
COVID-19 has affected Greenville schools the way that it's affected a lot of our other schools in Michigan. It's specifically difficult for me as a music teacher because music is a social thing. We do it together. We depend on everybody in the classroom at the same time to make it work. And it's almost impossible to have that same connection and creativity through a screen.
So I teach broadcast journalism. I teach students how to shoot and edit video, how to write stories for the news. It's anywhere from beginning level broadcasting to advanced level where we create newscasts.
They implement new ways to teaching their class online.
We started off with chromatic scales and regular scale work by me posting scale sheets just as a reminder and me demonstrating on my instruments how I wanted them to be played, at what tempo, what style, what rhythm. It ends on 3, not 2.
So I had a class at 10 in the morning, and by noon everything had to go virtual. And we then did everything through Zoom.
KCAL became a duopoly.
So instead of doing a live studio newscast, we decided we were going to do newscasts a little bit differently. Students would record their stories and edit them. If they had to do Zoom interviews, that was fine. If they were able to go out and shoot stuff outside, we just made sure they established good social distancing and was very careful about how they produced their stories.
Transition from in-person school to online school may be rough, but here are some of their final thoughts.
Once we've established that, then we kind of have to remember all of the constraints that are part of a virtual classroom.
For students, you just have to persevere. It's a new world, it's a new normal, but there's still ways to learn, and if you finish strong and you engage in what you're trying to learn, you're going to do really well. Shutting down is not a good idea. Just checking out and saying, I'm done with this, doesn't hurt anybody but yourself.
This is Isaac Gould from Beyond the Rock, signing off.
Finishing strong and putting in some extra work is most certainly what it takes to successfully finish off this challenging school year. Beyond the Rock News will be right back after this commercial break.
Coming up after the break, find out if the media is lying to you. Individuals are still finding ways to spread joy throughout these troubling times. Beyond the Rock News will be right back.
Come on down and get your lunches, everyone.
I love my mom. She is always there for me. She makes my lunch for school every morning. And she also helps me with my homework. My mom is always there to help me. Mom! Even when my brother and I get in fights playing soccer, she is always...
You don't need your mama, you need a referee. Sign up to be a referee today.
Welcome back to Beyond the Rock News. During these uncertain times, people are constantly looking for ways to better protect themselves and their families from this pandemic. With the news being the main source of information, how much of it can be trusted? Are the statistics they're telling us really true?
For months, news outlets and social media sites have been flooding our screens with images and headlines about the COVID-19 pandemic. But just how accurate has the media's portrayal of Michigan's experience with COVID-19 been? Choosing to remain anonymous, a West Michigan native gave Beyond the Rock her side of the story as a respiratory therapist serving on the front lines in Detroit.
We're there for one reason. It's to help the patients, it's to do our jobs, it's to do our jobs well, and hopefully, get these patients off the vents and back home to their families.
Reports of shortages of medical and protective equipment have been circling the media for weeks. But according to this frontline worker, her access to these tools in Detroit doesn't seem to match the hysteria.
We have not had any issues with shortages. We have a surplus, actually. There's only maybe 1 or 2 hospitals that are having issues with the PPE and not having enough ventilators, but we've been able to, share our equipment.
With some of the strictest social distancing policies in the country, Michigan's numbers are baffling.
Every death is labeled a COVID death. These patients have been in the hospital. Unfortunately, they might have gotten COVID while we were there, but to label them a COVID death, it's frustrating because that's not what killed them.
If our own frontline workers can attest to inaccurate reports, is the media really doing its job? This has been Carly Kelly with Beyond the Rock, signing off.
With news outlets seemingly filled from one negative thing to another, how can individuals find the good? HanButz has more on the joy being spread during these times. But first, Beyond the Rock News will be right back after this commercial break.
Still to come, those around you may be finding ways to spread happiness throughout these troubling times. Find out more next on Beyond the Rock News.
Be a part of making this world feel normal again by going to mhsaa.com/officials and becoming a referee today.
During this pandemic, there seems to be one negative thing after another. It can be hard to find the good. A global pandemic has not stopped certain members of society from finding creative ways to spread positivity across their community. Some are even making this unpredictable circumstance a little bit sweeter. One thing for sure that the COVID-19 pandemic has proven.
We got creative with old sheets and old dress shirts.
It's that our community is there for one another.
I just am trying to spread smiles throughout the community. I have made cards and written letters for the elderly and my family and friends.
Either by making masks, writing cards, or delivering donuts. Individuals have found ways to spread positivity from home to home during a time of hardship.
I'm super excited to get to be able to spread the smiles and the joy and just be able to share this time from a distance with everybody in quarantine. I like knowing that I'm making a positive change.
Gestures have overflowed society and has touched many lives along the way.
We've made about 100.
I have made over 45 cards. Gave out 4 dozen donuts.
The generosity has even been returned.
Some people have drawn me pictures with suns on them saying that I made their day brighter. Or some people have just thanked me in a nice letter.
People are just being super nice to one another and really just looking out for each other.
Acts of kindness can do so much to push away the uncertainty in a time full of questions. This has been HanButz with Beyond the Rock, signing off. The individuals that are spreading positivity are giving others hope, as well as knowing that we are all there for one another. As you can see, the world has and is still rapidly changing during this pandemic, but that has not stopped life from moving forward. In the end, the most we can do is make the best out of the situation and take it one day at a time. Once again, I'm HanButz. Beyond the Rock News will keep you updated for more. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you soon.